So to celebrate the release of the new app and Dynasets, we thought it would be nice if a few of us got together and just discussed everything that went into making this become a reality and all the work that's gone on in the last, well, almost a year now, like 8 months. And so, yeah, we're going to discuss a bit about the branding, the UI, the front end, and then talk about everything that's gone into the changes for Dynasets and all of the smart contracts. The three of us in particular have been very involved in every aspect of that, so we decided we were probably the best people to have a chat and share it with the community. But yeah, it wasn't us who built it at all. The team of 40 people, which has grown a lot since the inception of this new app and new Dynasets, have been working tirelessly day and night, pretty much 7 days a week, 18 hours a day to get this to you. But it's finally here, and yeah, we're pretty happy with it.
Pretty excited. And the release is pretty much flawless, I believe. There's always, it's never perfect, right? And we are we're always nitpicking on every detail. I think we are all perfectionists.
Well, I think it's good not to be perfect, right? We are a DAO, so it's always useful to have the users' feedbacks on how to improve the UI, the UX, which data they want to be displayed on the website. Every feedback is valuable, and I think we did a pretty decent job with the beta testers, getting us some feedbacks that we implemented.
Yeah. No, it's been quite interesting building an app with, countless people feeding back on how it should look. So we've got the people building it, the devs, and they're giving feedback. We've got the UI guys and the front end guys giving feedback. Then we've got Marcello and Mario giving feedback. And then we also have the community giving feedback, and we try and take all of this and turn it into one cohesive unit. And it's very, very interesting. And back end, blockchain,
sure,
the quant,
us,
yeah, everybody, yeah. But I think it turned out pretty good.
Where did it begin?
Where did it begin? A year ago. Almost precisely a year ago. So we are recording this on October 14th. And I think it was actually precisely a year ago that it started in France, where I first met both you guys. So
not only that, but Antoine was still a community member who decided that he wanted a job and came and visited us in France.
True.
So it's possible, guys. Everyone's in the call.
Well, I was a community member. Rob was a community member.
Yep. I think we actually started a year ago with an empty Flipboard, an empty page. We hadn't launched Dynasets. There wasn't Dynasets in October. I think we launched Dynasets in December. So this was 2 months before the Dynaset launch. It was just after the airdrop. It was actually, so it was 2-3 months after we launched the website, the first iteration of the first iteration of the first website. You could only stake and do yield farming at that point. So we started with an empty Flipboard, and as you know, ask ourselves this is just the beta, but if we want to do an entire new app, how would it look? What does it need? What makes a website a good website? What aspects from other websites do you like? And which one do you not like? How can we make Dynasets and the website, merge together into really one thing, basically?
Yeah. Not only that, but what do you like? What do you not like? And then taking from this all of the things that are industry standard and saying, how can we stand out still? And yes,
because I truly believe that if we, and I've said this a couple of times before, there are of course industry standards, but if you really want to be best in class at something, you can't copy others all the time, and you can't you can't just copy industry standards all the time. You have to go against the flow with some things of your product, right? Some pieces of your product needs to go against the flow, like all popular brands that are, and I mean like, what's the correct word, John? Like not crypto companies, but actual companies.
Companies?
without saying any names, but like, maybe some.
Oh, like fruit type companies, or
fruit phones or electric cars,
window makers,
streaming services for video, right? They, instead of copying others, and I mean, what I'm trying to say is that instead of copying others, they were thinking, how can we do things different than all the others?
Innovation,
yes.
So let's have a look at some of our talking points. We've covered where did it begin, which was in France, just before the launch of the very first closed beta Dynasets. And before they'd even launched, we were planning how this V1 would look. And that's also with the very, very old branding, which has been updated a little as we've gone forward, but we decided that coming with a big relaunch, we need a full rebranding with the branding that was launched in the original app was never intended to be final. It was almost an afterthought behind the tech at the time. And with the main product launch that's happened this week, we decided that it was very important that the branding be in line with the quality of the products that we're putting out.
Yeah. So that's when we hired a branding agency.
Yeah.
To do the stuff for us, right?
Yes. We are not a professional branding agency, yeah. And they did a pretty good job. They gave us a lot of the basics and a lot of the fundamentals of what you see on the app. And then our amazing UI team, along with other people's input, took that and turned it into a DeFi product, should we say. So one of the things we wanted to cover was why we decided to change the logo. Because we know that the original logo was very popular with the community. And to be honest, it was very popular with us as well. Everyone loved the original logo. The issue that we had was when we started trying to do 3D animation or looking into having a presence inside the metaverse, the previous logo it wasn't possible. There were too many intricate lines and it looked terrible in the metaverse. As much as we loved that logo, it had to be changed to something simpler. And that's why we ended up on this new logo, which still has the same feel and it still has the lines inside of it. It still has the same shape, the same symbology. It's just we can now animate it in 3D space, which is going to be very important moving forward with the metaverse coming to the forefront of crypto. And so that's the reason for the new logo.
Simplifying.
Yeah. Yes. Let's have Rob talk a little bit about overseeing development of the UI, and then we'll talk some about Dynasets.
All right. So in the beginning, actually, right after we got back from France, I think I had a pretty good idea on how I wanted to have Dynasets or mainly the products look on the dApp. So I started drawing with a pen and a piece of paper, and then trying to translate that literally in Paint because my my illustration skills are non-existent.
It's true, I've seen them.
Yeah, I've made some mock-ups in Paint, and I was actually pretty proud of how they turned out.
You shouldn't have been. I've seen them too.
That was more to visualize, that you how the flow of the website works, and if you click this, then you should go to a page like that, and we should have some graphs over here, and maybe a table here and stuff like that. So I gave that to the UI team, more as inspiration, I guess. But they are much more experienced in how user flow should work and how the user experience and customer journey and stuff like that, how that should work on the dApp. So they made a version, and then it goes to Marcello, and it goes to Mario, and we have something to say about it. So it's like an iteration, and every component that you see had like 3 to maybe 10 different versions, and we had to pick one. So if you look at, for instance, at the component that pops up when you connect your wallet, I think we had 10, maybe even more different versions of how the component should look like. How does the pop-up work, and should it be a toggle, or should it be slide or buttons or anything else? So we've done that with everything. We've consulted the beta testers sometimes. Sometimes it was internal testing. Sometimes it was we tried something, and we've all worked with the new version of the website since, I guess, April or May. So we've been using it for months, and sometimes it looks good on paper, maybe, or on your screen or in design, but when you start working with it, doesn't really.
Yeah, a very good example of that is that we had a different background image for quite a long time, which we all really loved how it looked. But when it came to putting the cards over the top, we realized that the background image was just distracting from the user experience, and so we had to pull it back and rework it. It was a shame. It was a really nice background image. I loved it, but sometimes these things that look amazing don't necessarily work very well.
No, exactly. So it's been quite a process with tens of iterations for every component. But I'm really happy with the way it looks now, and how the flow of the website works, and it's easy for us to add new and more components now to the website, and add more products to the website. Much easier than with the previous app.
Yeah, well, that's another thing worth mentioning. It's not just that we took the previous app and put a new skin on it. The whole code base has been completely reworked. It's a brand new app in every way. There's very little recycled code.
Yeah, and we also had to make a decision about, do we still keep the website and the app as 2 separate products, like almost everyone in blockchain seems to be doing, right? The most websites have a basic website where you get info and then an actual app, but we decided to combine both into one product. Maybe to, be rebel a bit and go against the flow. But it only makes sense to me that you keep everything in one place, and that you have a user flow, that you have your homepage where you land in, where you have all your info, and from there you go into the products and you show the products, and it's easy to navigate.
Let me ask you a question, Rob. Is the DApp finished? Never. So do you want to maybe mention a couple of things that people can look forward to?
Sure. So at the moment, the homepage, for example, is quite focused on the DYDX, of course. Deposits close in a few days, in 10 days after this recording. So we are currently working on a new homepage for after the DYDX closes. We're also working on Launchpad, for example. So currently Launchpad still is the old Launchpad with the old UI. It's like a thorn in my eye. So we are rebranding the Launchpad as well. Same for Bridge, because it's currently an external website. So we are working on the Bridge as well. We have table view for all the vaults. It's currently in the works. And there's some stuff in the pipeline, like Cardano integration, like dashboards, and the new dynamic vault, and of course the whole SRAP and DAO participation.
Yeah,
and that's all phase 1.
That's just a little of it. That's just the next step.
Yes.
And also, I think it's worth mentioning that we are currently using a very similar desktop and mobile user interface, but we are working on a more fully featured mobile user interface that will be out fairly shortly.
Yes. So usually at the moment, the website it's responsive, of course, right? So if you browse with your phone, you can use it, and we've done some refinements, but it's not like there's a native mobile website at the moment. But we are working on that as well. True.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Right, so I think we've covered the user interface and the app pretty nicely. We've talked a little bit about what's coming next as well. So let's talk some about Dynasets. And Antoine here is our man with all the Dynaset info. So maybe you want to start with how Dynasets V1, or is it V2? Which V is which? V1 is the app and V2 is the Dynasets, or V2 is the app and V1 is the Dynasets?
I'd say Dynaset-wise, we are in V1, considering the fact that we are just out of beta, right? The app has already been working since the beta, so we can call it Triassic period, right? That's going to be easier for everyone.
That's right. Yes, of course. So, tell us about how the new V1 version of Dynasets, the Triassic period version of Dynasets, first came about.
So I think we must come back to the beginning, right? The goal of Dynasets, which has always been the same. It's the idea of providing sophisticated asset management tool for everyone in a decentralized fashion. So how do we get there? How do we simplify the portfolio management? It started with the beta, right? We wanted to launch Dynasets. We wanted the user to see how they can do, and I think they did pretty decently in the beta, right? Well, pretty amazingly, I'd say, compared to the benchmark. First iteration of the V1 Dynasets, if we can call it like that, is going to be mainly the decentralization of DynBTC and Dynasets, right? User get back the ownership of their cryptos. So that was one of the main points, because once you go decentralized, there is no going backwards. We allow the user to withdraw their LP tokens from the forges when the minting happened, and I think it's a pretty massive milestone for SingularityDAO, because we're moving from the centralized Dynasets that were the beta to the centralized Dynasets, where the user can just jump in, take ownership of their tokens, do whatever they want with them, and it's a pretty massive milestone for us. We are pretty strict with the security of our contracts. We get them audited. We have a load of tests, unit tests, QA tests, functional tests, beta tests that are being done on Dynaset. Of course, that explains mainly some delays, because we are pioneering in this space, right? To have decentralized, sophisticated tools. So
exactly. So we are pioneers. Yeah, we are trying to do something that hasn't been done before, right? And it has to be first time right. You only have one shot at this because it's a smart contract. It's non-custodial. It's decentralized.
I think that is one of our main learnings from the beta, right? About not giving proper dates as well on the releases, because we are building complex stuff, and this requires some back and forth on the design, on the architecture, on the code, on the front and back end. So, but I'm pretty happy of, even if you were delayed, of what has been produced, and I think we can say we are pretty confident on the future of these tokens.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that there are a lot of, or not a lot, but there are some centralized solutions that can do what we do, although from my experience, they haven't been performing as well as we have. And there are a lot of non-custodial DeFi solutions, truly decentralized solutions, but they are nowhere near as complex or as close to achieving what we're achieving. And so it's taken a long time and a lot of work to be able to combine the complexity and potential for alpha that comes from CeFi and deliver it in a fully decentralized and non-custodial DeFi package. But with V1, I think of the DNF and DynBTC, we got there. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and I think also an important point to mention is the user experience, right? As for all of us that have been in the beta, the user experience was a bit rough. I think that was one of our main focus here, is to how do we bring an application, a decentralized application that is also for the retail and also for the bigger investors. So you need to have this kind of complexity and clarity on the dApp, on the user experience, that can fit both sides. And I think we did a pretty decent job as well here. The complete UX, what our designer did is amazing. We have some good feedbacks from the community as well. We keep getting there. We keep getting them. But I think the user experience is the main part for the Dynasets. If we want to be for everyone, right, we need to have the UX for it. So,
yeah, I mean, there's still some complexity. An example just off the top of my head would be that I would like to be able to have a better user flow for how we move between forges and things like that. But I think it's much better than it was, and we're going in the right direction, and we'll just keep working on it and keep refining and make it better and better.
Yeah, and also, so maybe this is more for a glimpse into the future, right? But when we start building the DApp, I started a year ago, we said it had to be safe, secure, and enjoyable for everyone. And with everyone, we meant not only the current community and the crypto enthusiasts or the VCs, but also people completely new to blockchain and crypto. But that is an audience that we are currently not targeting with current DApp, right? So the DApp is currently targeted towards crypto enthusiasts and maybe the existing community, or but not exactly targeted towards people completely new to blockchain. It's still too complex. Blockchain already is complex, but then when you have Dynasets and artificial intelligence and stuff like that, that's like mega complex, right? So we will have a solution for that in the future. That's not the very soon list like the other things, right? But there will be a light mode, hopefully soon. I think it has a pretty high priority to target people completely new to blockchain, but that requires vastly different customer journeys and vastly different solutions. Do you want new people to use MetaMask, for instance, or do you want to have a fully custodial wallet? And what are all the legal appliances? And it's a completely different user story.
Not only that, but it's reliant on the crypto space as a whole maturing into a more user-friendly experience. It's not just down to us. It's the whole space needs to move forward. And,
it's an iterative process, right? Moving step by step in the direction of non-crypto users. But what we did with the UX review is, of course, one step towards it. And I think, honestly, that we shouldn't be that far from being able to provide this to non-crypto users. I already discussed with few friends of mine that are non-crypto. We still have some work to do. Let's be honest, especially as what you said, Rob, on the onboarding. How do you get user coming to your website and enjoying the product while not having a crypto wallet, for instance, stuff like that.
We will definitely have tutorials, for instance. Might be videos, might be text.
We're currently building some nice looking video tutorials with text tutorials as well that will be integrated into the app. It's all in the works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Localization, right? We have a very big community, for instance, in Brazil. So Portuguese translation is high in the list as well.
Yep, definitely. Actually, that shouldn't be too far.
Yeah, and just some, that's all. It will help towards making the DApp enjoyable and accessible for everyone.
So let's let Antoine talk a little about DYDX, because while DynF and DynBTC one milestone, DynDYDX is a very different milestone, and it's still a beta, and I think it's worth going over.
Yeah, so with DYDX, it's a very exciting product for us, but also for our community. So it's not going to be considered as a final product, of course. DYDX is a bit centralized for those who knows a bit more about DYDX. And the idea of SingularityDAO is being fully decentralized. That being said, we wanted our users to be able to enjoy our strategies that are running internally. And we wanted them to have a first taste of how it will be in the future. So exactly as we did for DynBTC and Dynasets, we are opening DynDYDX as a centralized solution for now. And we are analyzing other protocols or even moving to the DYDX chain and that they are building. But that will depend on many criteria. So being security, liquidity, decentralization, all of these. And we have some ideas in the pipe. I'm not going to share too much before it's settled. But at least this DYDX beta is going to allow users to have a taste, as I said, of the leverage.
You can share it to us. It's only us. No one is listening. You can share it with us.
Well, the main and potential best solution is going to be GMX, right? Because it has the liquidity, it is decentralized, real. You can have some smart contracts called directly. So that means you can set up the smart contract on the Dynaset side, trading directly on GMX. So you don't have to create an account on DYDX, for instance, stuff like that. And it's on the layer 2, so that's Arbitrum. But I think we might that might not be a problem, right? If we just say, all right, the Dynaset is on Arbitrum for the community, I think it should be fine, right?
It's not too difficult to bridge to Arbitrum these days. So
yeah, but I mean, getting Dynasets as a product fully decentralized, it's been one heck of a process, right? But initially, it wasn't intended. Both the new version of the DApp and the new version of the Dynasets were released at the same time. Kind of happened. we kind of happened to sync up in the end. Initially, I think initially we were doing V2 for the DApp first, and then Dynasets after. Well, not even sure what came first.
Can't even remember anymore.
No, I think in June. I think back in June we decided it should be one big release.
And so, Antoine, why don't you tell us some things to look forward to for Dynasets in the coming months and even years?
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, monitor the production release, of course, and make sure that everything is smooth. So far, so good. I want to say we're pretty all happy with how it went and the user feedback on it. But now we are going to focus first on the trading window. But for the future, so Dynasets are not decentralized enough for us, right? We all know that. And the main part for that is to remove the contribution period, which is going to be one of our main second milestone for the Dynasets to be a really decentralized product. So remove the contribution period is one of the main things. And of course, add more chains, more strategies. We have DynBNB coming. Denial should follow as well in the near future. And so having Dynasets is good. And honestly, this is the first step of the bigger plan we have, right? Integrating the SingularityDAO within the DeFi Lego. By that, I mean implementing Dynasets within other protocols. So that include rebalancing oracles, signals for lending protocols, Dynaset token as collateral for DeFi protocols. That can be for borrowing protocols or stable coins, for instance. Let's say you want to borrow money, right? And you're going to use crypto as collateral. They're going to come and ask you for BTC as collateral, but BTC is volatile. So if it goes down to a certain value, you're going to be liquidated. What if all these protocols could be linked to DynBTC, for instance, that has less volatility? That could be a major milestone for us as well. So we are researching for that. Hopefully it's going to come when the Dynasets are decentralized enough. Security is also one of our main focus. We want to also provide insurance for Dynasets. So this is in the nearest future. So we are already in discussions with DeFi protocols that could be insuring our contracts. And I think that's going to come in the coming months. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff around.
How will that? Can you tell us a bit more about insurance? I know insurance is something that a lot of people in the community have requested. Could you tell us something about the insurance? How does it work?
Sure. So there is one thing to understand with insurance. So it will not insure the potential loss of the Dynaset net asset value. So let's say that the BTC drops. and I don't know, DynBTC does minus 10%, you're not going to be insured for that. What insurances does for asset management protocols is that they insure your contracts if there is a hack, for instance. And that is another layer of security we want to add to our Dynasets to provide more trust to the users as well. But no, you cannot insure. Well, that could be something to discuss with them, all right? But I'm not sure they will be willing to to insure the capital gains, except if we have years maybe of live trading. But not for now.
Can you tell us something about XSDAO?
It's the bane of my existence.
No, we do know internally what it's going to do, right?
I would say we have a couple of very good ideas for XSDAO, and we may not even choose between them. We may just make it do all of those things. So for everybody asking about XSDAO, it is not forgotten. It's just not time yet. But we have some pretty cool things for it to do. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. I've been John. Rob, who have you been?
I've been me.
And Antoine, what about yourself?
I think I was me as well.
Okay, well that's good. At least you weren't me.
Dynasets.
Yes, you're the Dynasets. Well, thanks everybody.
So when Binance?
When Binance. That's that closing scene. When Binance end.